So, welcome to another episode of Conversation with Coach Kevin. I'm your host, Kevin Thornton, life coach and author. Today, it's going to be a special day. I have a great man that I'm interviewing today. He is a native of Detroit, Cass Tech High School. He also lived down in the ATL like myself. I first saw him on CNN as a financial expert, and we connected from there. He helped me in my journey, building my business, building my brand, and now he's doing major things. You can hear him sometimes on Get Up with Erica Campbell on Monday mornings, but he also doing other major things. He's also now a motivational speaker and inspiration. So I want to welcome everybody to Clyde Anderson. How you doing,
Uh,
sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me today.
No, thanks for you saying you would do it. You
You're my
know,
brother.
yes, sir. My thing is you have come a major way in this past year. And I want you to tell everybody, first of all, who you are and what you do, but then tell them your inspirational story on how you redeemed yourself or resurrected yourself to who you are right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because because a lot of the people I coach, a lot of people I know, especially the millennials, they tend to think after a certain age, if they're not where they're supposed to be, then it's over with.
Mm.
Or if it's too late to try to find their purpose or their passion once they get to 30, and you and I are 50. And so we're doing it. And so I think it's a testament to it's never too late. So you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and we can go
Yeah,
from there.
yeah, definitely, man. My name is Clyde Anderson. I wear a lot of hats. One of the hats I wear in particular right now, I'm the senior vice president and director of community lending for a bank called Ameris Bank. And it was a road to there. I've always been in banking, man, my whole career. I started off young as a mortgage lender.
Mm,
And I did really well as a mortgage lender, and really touched a lot of people. I grew up off 8 Mile Road in Detroit, man, a little apartment building. And growing up, my mother, it was single mama, and she raised me, but we didn't talk a lot about money and finances. She was a daughter of a sharecropper, and she did the best she could to raise me, man. And she did a great job, but some of those
mm,
things we didn't have those conversations. I got into the mortgage business, and I learned that I wasn't alone. A lot of people hadn't had those conversations, especially a lot
right.
of people that look like me. We hadn't talked about wealth building. We hadn't talked about savings and credit. And so I had to learn really quickly by trial and error, and got really good at fixing situations, man. So I wrote a book because everyone would come in my office and say, well, you see, what happened was I co-signed for my cousin. He never paid the car note. So I wrote a book called What Had Happened Was. And that really kind of took me to a different place, man. The book was about four characters that lived in a town called reality, somewhere between perfect bliss and rock bottom. It was about too good to be true, just to get by D. Jones and couldn't care less. And they were all trying to get a special deal. And that special deal was freedom, the ability to live out your dreams, answer your questions, what you've been waiting for. So it showed what different characters would or wouldn't do to get something they considered to be special, man. And the book took off, ended up getting me on CNN. So for 8 years, I became a financial contributor on CNN. So again, we riding that trajectory. We
Right.
rolling, doing some good things, man. Started to speak around the country. Started my own firm, and I was really empowering people, and that was my thing. We talked economic development, economic empowerment, business, and really kind of got the bug to really sort of empower and help our folks. During that time, I've probably written two other books: Fundamental Wealth Principles and Where's My Change was probably the most recent book. But on this journey, I saw the writing on the wall. Got out of the mortgage business, and I started my own consulting firm. I've worked with organizations like Atlanta Neighborhood Development Partnerships and Best Atlanta, and it was really again in housing. But I was more creating programs now. We created bond programs for down payment assistance and some other things. And I got to a point, man, in my career where I think I was a little burnt out. I was
Mm,
everywhere. I was we were working with Steve Harvey. I was going to his camp, talking to kids. I was doing a lot of radio. I was doing local, still doing television, doing some local TV, but then speaking in different states and then coaching. And being an entrepreneur and running my own business. We had a publishing company, so we would publish,
mm,
but also would write books. I've ghostwritten probably for over 50 people, and to really help them get their stuff to market, and then coach probably hundreds more. Just really sort of help understand that I've learned early that the book was part of the key that helped make me the expert or the known expert in the space. So I was able to leverage that and do a lot of good things with it. But during that period where I sort of felt burnt out, I knew I needed something different. Business wasn't exactly where it had been. And so I saw some of that happening and coming and trying to stop it. Um, it was interesting, man. It's almost like trying to stop a train that's already rolling. Like I had
Right.
gone down that path. So it's not like you're just going to put your hand out and stop it. It needed a process like anything else, but wasn't equipped and didn't know
Right.
exactly what to do. And so the shakeup or the shift that happened for me is that my mother was living in Milwaukee,
Mhm.
Wisconsin, where I was actually born. I moved to Detroit when I was like 7. My mother had moved back to be closer to her siblings and rest of our family that was still living there. And so I made the decision to move my family and relocate my family from Atlanta to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, probably about
Mhm.
7 years ago. It wasn't the favorable choice. I probably wasn't real
Right.
popular with my children, but I felt like I wanted them to be closer to mom. We had family there. I needed to really sort of recalibrate and figure out exactly what I was doing. And so we went to Milwaukee, man. Went up north, Midwest. It was cold. It was snow.
Mhm.
It was a lot different, but I believe it was truly a sacrifice I needed to make. One, for moms, I hadn't lived in the same city or state with her in probably 18 years. And so it was time to do that. And again, have my kids close to her. As I got to Milwaukee, we started exploring different things. We
Mhm.
had a cousin that had a juice bar. My wife
Mhm.
took over the juice bar and started running it, man. And it was probably the most peace I had seen in some years.
Mhm.
I was making smoothies and talking to customers. I was doing,
Wow.
the shots, and we would get up early, close the store around 3. But during that time, I would talk to so many people. And it helped me also realize what I was really passionate about. I knew I had a lot of things I loved to do, but I was passionate about people. And that was the
Mhm.
conversation. And I loved having those conversations, whether they were talking about health, they were talking about wealth, whatever it was, we would have conversations. And while I'm making smoothies, I'm talking. While we building a business, and we were able to build a business because again, I'm an entrepreneur to my core, and I love
Mhm.
business. And so, but we were able to one build the business and also expand the business and open another location as well. But during that time, also, my cousin decided to do a development deal, and we did that. And she opened a place called Sherman Phoenix. That
Mhm.
was a former BMO Harris Bank building that had got burned during an uprising when the cops had killed a young black kid and left him in the street. And so we decided to take that over, or she took that over and had us run it. My wife and I began to run the building. We did everything from tenants. We had 25 small businesses in there, most of them black small businesses, everything
Mhm.
from a wing restaurant. We had our coffee and juice bar in there. We had a pizza restaurant, barbershop, beauty salon, yoga studio, ice cream bar, parlor, and we had event space, and we started renting it out, doing things like events. We would do dance classes, and then we had a presidential rally with Cory Booker when he was running, and we brought
Mhm.
Alvin Ely in. Again, we are entrepreneurs, and but we also had a little piece of media experience from all those years on CNN and pitching to the media. So we were able to get a lot of media exposure and bring
Mhm.
people out. So it really sort of helped build it. And around that time, I started really also missing the banking side, and so the business and the empowerment on the economic side. So I started working with the Wisconsin Housing Economic Development Authority, sort of getting back to
Okay.
and we did a loan fund, man, for small businesses. We did about a $5 million loan fund where I was able to help small businesses with trucks, buildings, and equipment. And it was really cool. Again, so that bug is starting to pick up. And I'm just working and working inside a space that I hadn't did that in several years. I've been on my own, doing my own thing. But part
Right.
of what I realized is that I had been working somewhat in a silo, and I needed that out. I needed that engagement. I needed to kind of get back in that space. And so I did it, man. We started doing also commercial underwriting deals. And then I did a $50 million loan fund. And probably it's been about a year and a half. I was doing that. Everything was going well. And my mother passed. Um,
Okay.
and during this time, man, we have been riding a roller coaster. Like, I've been at the top of the mountain as far as financially. But during that time, it wasn't so much about the money. We were doing okay. But we also had some challenges. It was times where, it would slump and come back up. And I was used to making more, and here we weren't making as much as I had.
Mhm.
So I had to really sort of shift gears and really sort of plan and realize what did I want next? Like what was going to be my next phase? But one
Mhm.
thing I knew was that I wanted to be back in Atlanta, and I wanted to be back in Atlanta because that's where my core was. I spent several years building relationships, and I truly believe that relationships make the world go round.
Absolutely.
Relationships open doors that money can't. And so I'm an advocate that, we build strong relationships, and that's value. And I also believe that you got to make deposits before you can make withdrawals. And people in
Absolutely.
business and anything, there's no bank around that's going to let you make a withdrawal before you make a deposit. So I look at people the same way. And so I knew at that point I needed to do something different. I knew I wanted to cut back here, but I still didn't know exactly what that was. So I was still
Yeah.
running my consulting business and just did that. And I came back to Atlanta still with a couple of customers and running that. But it wasn't, Atlanta's an expensive place to live too.
Mhm.
So you got to be prepared. And so we came back with what we had. And it was really, man, about praying and staying committed, but also knowing that I had relationships, and I began reaching out to all the relationships that I had. But it's challenging, man, because again, I'm reaching. I was the 40s, and that's time moved to Milwaukee probably when I was like 44,
Mhm.
and you're watching that clock tick, and
Yeah.
so the clock is ticking, and I'm sitting here wondering like, what is my next phase? What is my next step? What am I going to do? And so, with a lot of talking, again, relationships make the world go around. I had some great mentors. I had guys that I could talk to and kind of talk about where I was and where I really wanted to be, but I hadn't really truly figured it out yet. I
Right.
think that's similar to a lot of people who, we don't necessarily know exactly what it looks like. It's easy to look back and see where your life has gone, but sometimes it's a lot harder to determine what my next steps are going to be. And
Absolutely.
when you start getting to a certain age, you want that next step to be the right step. You ain't got
Right.
too much time for missteps. And so
Right.
I want to be real strategic, man. And I got back here and I really just started reaching out to my people, seeing what was out here, what was available. In that 6 years, Atlanta had changed so much. And so it
Mhm.
wasn't coming back to the same Atlanta I had left. So I had to reach out. I had great relationships and talked to a lot of people, had some great, conversations and saw some opportunities begin to come. And I had to realize again, I wanted to be in a space that wasn't just me. I wanted to really figure out where I could use my gifts and my talents. And that became my prayer. How can I, God, use my gifts and talents, things that you've equipped me with? Where do I go from here and how do I make the biggest impact that I can make? And I just kept down that track, man, and having these conversations. And it was one day, a friend of mine I had been talking to called me, and he had gotten a call from a bank. He's in banking, got a call from a bank, and they asked him who did they need to talk to help fix a challenge that they had. And he said me. And they called me, and we started talking. And again, it's that where things I had done up until that point were perfect fit for what they needed. I had been
Mhm.
prepared and planned for something like that, even though I know what it was. And they needed me. And 2 weeks later, I was speaking to the CEO, and we were in business. The CEO of the bank liked what I was talking about, liked what I had to offer, and thought I was the one that could help fix the challenges. And they brought me in, and that was 4 months ago, man. And so it's still new, but I hit the ground running, and
Yeah.
yeah, did what I needed to do. I got my senior vice president stamp on there,
Yes,
and
sir. I saw that.
yeah, we've been making some treads, man. We're making things happen, and it's banking. It's going back to my core. It's going back to what I love. But again, what I prepare for. My job really is I make relationships. Make relationships and build great partnerships to make sure that we can do what we need to do to expand. And that's in any business. But I've done that most of my career, and so now I'm having some fun, man, doing it for the bank and walking in this new light.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, because I'm really proud of you. 'Cause I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, he doing major things. And then I saw your new like cover and it said like motivational inspiration. I said, okay, he's starting to see his lane of what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And 'cause I remember seeing a video of you speaking at Hillside.
Mm, yeah.
And I was like, I did not know Clyde was that powerful.
My man. My man. It's a gift, brother. I'm blessed, man. I truly,
Man,
truly believe
I
it.
sat there and watched I watched your whole speech when you
Love
taught
it.
at the church that.
I
And
love it. I
I'm like,
appreciate it.
man, I said, okay.
Yeah.
And so How did you know that was part of your gift?
Wow. Just started. So when I really much got in the mortgage business, I had to do a lot of talking. I started off in
Mhm.
Orlando, Florida, and I started getting the stuff that nobody wanted to do, bad credit, challenge credit. And I really had to figure out how to build relationships. And I learned that it was know you, like you, trust you. People know you, they begin to like you. Once they like you, they begin to trust you. When they trust you, they'll do business with you. So
Right.
how did I get people to know me was talking as much as I could and having as much value that I would add. So not just talking, but what do I talk and add value? And how do I do that? So I began doing more speeches. Then when I got on CNN, it was like the door had opened. I was getting called and asked. And so the more I got on stages and when I would get off, I would see the response I got from people. I'd have a long line of people wanting to talk. I had people wanting to share. I had people wanting some support and some help. And so I said, okay, I think I might be on to something. And when I get up there, it feels like it's natural. I don't have
Mhm.
to force it. I move myself out the way. I used to try to write everything down and be up there all the papers, but when I get up there, I just move myself out the way, and I know God uses me. And so when I started doing more and more of that, I started getting those responses. I saw I was really helping people, especially when I coach one on one or talking. I had something to share. And so what I also realized is that when I would used to go out and speak, I used to speak about money and finance, and I noticed a lot of us would check out. We get that deer in the headlight look, and it's like we're gone. And I was like, no, I don't want to lose people. How do I get people? And I had to really take myself to a level of what did I need to hear? What do I want to hear? Again, because we talked about the characters in the book. I've been every one of those characters from couldn't
Mhm.
get by. No, I mean, just to get by, D. Jones couldn't care less. And where you throw call, everything like I can't fix the situation. My credit is ruined. What am I going to do? So I've gone through those experiences and I know what it felt like. And when you speak to people's pain, it changes things. And so I learned
Mhm.
to speak to the pain and let them know that I can address this pain and we can get over this pain. And I came up with the concept of wealth. And wealth was the wisdom to establish assets and leverage the harvest. And that's what I was
Right.
speaking about at Hillside was the idea that we got to be wise enough to know who we are and where we are. But we also have to establish, who we are, where do we want to go and where are we at this moment and where do we want to go. But then we have to know what our why is, the motivation, and then what assets do we have to get us there. A lot of times, again, I said relationships one of our most valuable assets. The next one will be time. There's 86,400 seconds in each day. And if there were dollars, we probably take better care of them. And so I tell
Right.
people that we need to manage that time. And there's so much that we can do with that time to build the resources and the assets that we need. So if I have no money, I've got assets, I've got time, I've got relationships, I got my gifts, my talents. I can use those things to get to where I want to be and leverage those to get the harvest. And I realized one is I had something to say and a message to tell people. Then when it started resounding, with people and it resonated, I wanted to make sure I did more of it, man. And so I would begin to speak to whoever would listen. And
That's good.
that's where it began to get perfected, man. I saw lives being changed because of it. So I kept going.
Absolutely. So, for me, 2024 is the year of the black man.
Mm,
I feel a lot of times the black men are the least nurtured,
mhm,
I should say. We're supposed to be the head of the households,
mhm.
and if our cultures will ever elevate the way we're supposed to elevate, then we as black men need to elevate.
Man,
I think a lot of times with, a lot of the younger black men not having that male father figure around, we're asking them to be something they had never seen before.
yeah,
So what is some words of encouragement you could give them
yeah,
who are looking to be better, but they just don't know how to do it? Because when you ask them what's their why, they don't understand what that means.
yeah,
Everything you said is spot on.
yeah,
But for people like them, they don't know what that means. So what can you give them as advice to help them get going?
yeah. Man, I would say one is I'll have to quote one of my favorites, and it's Les Brown. And let's say you
Mhm.
got to be hungry. Like you got to be hungry. If you want some change, if you want something different, and you want to find your change, you got to be hungry for it. You got to want it more than anybody else wants it. So
Mhm.
that's the beginning. Somebody can't want it more than you want it and try to
Mhm.
push you to get it. You got to get to a place where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you got to say, "I want something different." And that's where the shift begins to happen. And that's what happened for me, man. I knew that I needed something different. I knew I wanted to change. Even in the midst of I experienced some successes, but you can't ride off them successes forever. You're only
Right.
good as your last hit, is what they say. And so I had to keep
Absolutely.
figuring out how to make new hits. Like, what do I need to do? And so I grew up in a single parent household, man. It was just me and my mom. I had to find and identify those role models. I had to find and identify people that I thought were doing things that I wanted to do or how I wanted to be. And whether that was in a book or that was in real life, I found those people and I stayed close to them. I read about those people and studied their lives. So I had virtual mentors. I had people in books like Reginald Lewis, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? I had people like Dennis Kimbrough, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice. Before I'd even met Dennis Kimbrough, I was
Hmm.
looking at him for guidance through the reading and the material. So I would tell people, go identify 5 people that you see that live in the life that you think you want to live, or somewhat like it, or doing things that you want to do, and study them as much as possible till you get an opportunity to meet them in person. But also identify the people that are in real life that are around you. Maybe you don't know them, but you've seen them operate. And I tell you, if you go tell somebody that I really love to study you, I love what you're doing, I like how you're moving, most people are then going to embrace you and want to bring you along, or at least give you some guidance, at least help you out. That's the nature of most people. So I tell people, talk to people, ask questions. Tupac said, even a genius asks questions. So ask as many questions as you can and figure out what people are doing, how they're doing it. And if you could be close to that, find and identify those mentors and those people. Because again, it's challenging to learn how to be a man when you don't have a man in your life. And so you got
Hmm.
those men in your life. You gotta again be hungry enough to say, this is who I want to hang my hat with. This is who I want to be close to. This is who I want to help. Man, I was on CNN and I was still going finding these guys that were speaking in churches, and I would go and help them sell books. I would go and sit down.
Hmm.
They would take me to eat afterwards and tell me how they did it and what they were doing, how they booked these things at the churches. And I figured out,
Hmm.
how can I help? And how can I add value? It wasn't for me about ego. Yeah, I was on TV, but you had something I needed to learn. And so I'm gonna do
Hmm.
whatever I need to do and humble myself to figure out, how can I learn that too? And that
Absolutely.
helped me tremendously. Build great relationships for life, but also helped me to elevate to the next level.
And what you're saying is true, because that was my outlook too. Because I would see you on CNN, and I know as I began the journey of coaching, I said that's what I want to do.
My
I
man.
want CNN to be like, they need that life coach, consultant, or correspondent. I want them ready to call on me. I
Yeah.
remember reaching out to you
Yeah.
and say, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And we met up and we talked and we stayed connected ever since then. And I'm like, okay, because it makes sense. Because if that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
you know, ask the people that's doing it.
Come on, man.
And so, and you such a humble guy, you like, hey, let's meet up.
Yeah.
And we talked, and you told me what to do. And I started doing it, and we stay connected because it's like, okay, this is, you have to keep the connections at
Yeah.
all times. You
That's
never
it.
know when you need to circle back around.
Never know, man. Again, it's power in that. Like I said, relationships have opened doors for me that money just is not able to open. And so, like, even like I said, when we connected, to me, again, it's iron sharpens iron. One man
Yep.
sharpens another. So if I've got something that I can share for my brother to help him, it's going to pay off in dividends. I feel like if I'm not serving, I'm just taking up space. And so if I can help
Absolutely.
you and sow something into you that's going to help other people, I'm winning. We winning. That's what we got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then help the people understand that mindset,
Mm.
because a lot of times we have the crabs in the barrel mindset.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for you to be like, no, I'm not gonna help you. I'm not
Right.
gonna help Kevin, because then if I help him get on CNN, what about me?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
how from a spiritual standpoint, help to understand that you help other people is only gonna give you more favor in the long
Yeah.
run.
That's how it works, man. And it's just, when you talk about kingdom business, and what I call the kingdom is a comprehensive rule of God in, over, and through every aspect of my life. So when I wake up, I'm doing kingdom business. It's not that I have to step into a certain realm to do kingdom business. And what kingdom business says is that we are here to help each other. One man is not an island. I don't stand alone. I need my brother's help. I need my brother's support. And sometimes we don't always see it. And so that's what puts us in these silos, because we think we can do it on our own, and we can't. And so we need each other. And that's why we were placed here, how we were placed here. That was the God's plan, is for us to help and support each other. And so when we don't do enough of that, I feel like we're out of line. And so we got to
Mhm.
make sure that we're in line, and things begin to happen. And so when I started doing that and living that way, I watch the doors open, and it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it's going to happen. And so I'm a true believer of that. And I believe that again, I'm learning at the same time. I'm helping you or just doing something for you. I'm learning in the process of that. I'm being blessed, but part of that blessing is me learning. Part of that is you sharing your journey. It's making me richer at the same time because again, we can't experience everything, and so a lot of times we learn through other people's experiences. I think we
Mhm.
just got to truly understand the value of people. I got to understand the value of my brother, the value of my sister. But I also, if I don't understand my value, I can't see your value. I can't see your worth if
Absolutely.
I don't know my own worth. And so when you talked about people not understanding who they are or their why, you've got to determine that for yourself. You got to determine who you are. But a lot of times we grew up and we were asked, what do we want to be when we grew up? Or what do we want to do for a living? And we weren't talking about who we are to our core. What are the things
Right.
that make me tick? What are the things that make me want to go further? What are the things that depress me or make me sad? Like I need to know all these things because I need to know how I operate. And once I know how I
Mhm.
operate, I can see the things that motivate me or propel me or push me further. That becomes my why. I tell people all the time, my why for me is my wife and my children. I have a responsibility to them. I get up early, I stay up late for them. I am Anderson Incorporated. My wife is my CFO, and my kids are my shareholders. And I got a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they thrive and grow. And that's my responsibility. And so, by any means necessary, I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. And to me, I've learned making that happen is by not putting myself in a box, is by saying that anything is possible and I need people to make that happen. And so, how can I build that network of people that can help me, as sort of my board of directors, that's going to help take me to the next level?
Absolutely. And you said something that I want you to expound on because I think a lot of times everybody wants to have their own business. Everybody wants to be, um, you know, the six-figure man or whatever that may be. All that takes time. All that takes discipline. And you said get up early and you work late.
Yeah.
Can you make them understand that, well, until you get to where you want to get, and still, once you get there, you still gotta do it. You have to create some form of sacrifice and discipline
Yeah.
in order to get to where you want to go. I just think sometimes people just think, just saying they want to do this, they don't understand how hard work it is
Yeah.
for.
Brother. It's not winning the lottery. It's not an instant ticket, the $1 million ticket. Because anybody that's successful will tell you um, more opportunities, more work. Is the
Mhm.
best way I could say it. And even to get those opportunities, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of things I gave up, things that I wanted to do or thought I'd be doing that I just had to say that's not going to happen because I got to focus on here. Yeah, I want to go and relax and chill, but it's not time to chill. It's time to
Mhm.
work. I love to go on vacation, but that's not in the budget this year. And so,
Right.
those are some of the hard conversations you have to go have with your spouse because, and you got to be on the same page and buy in that we're really trying to build something here. We're going somewhere. And so let's delay some of that gratification and let
Mhm.
me make sure that I'm going to take this 200 mile drive and that I really don't feel like taking. I'm going to take it and go speak because that's going to help us in other ways. So it's not always the money. Again, it's the opportunity, it's relationships, the people I've met along the way that opened other
Mhm.
doors. And so I learned that I don't know what's going to happen, but if it's in my place, I'm going to make the sacrifice. I'm going to make the commitment. I'm going to be dedicated to it and go as hard as I can towards it. So it's not a
Mhm.
matter of, hey, I made it. Now I can sit back and relax. No, you're going to make it several times. But again, I talk about that ebb and flow of success. You're
Mhm.
not always going to be here, but it's going to be those downturns. And once you know how to get there, you can get back. I tell people all the time, if I've never been to California and I'm leaving Georgia today, I'm gonna follow somebody that's been there already. I'm gonna get that
Right.
blueprint. I'm gonna have the roadmap. So it's the same thing in business, the same thing in life.
Mhm.
You need to find somebody that's been to where you want to go. Once you find somebody that's been to where you want to go, just like you said, you wanted to get on CNN, you reached out and said to somebody that's on CNN. It was a
Mhm.
smart thing. It seemed simple, but it was
Yeah.
smart. You took an opportunity and said, well, let me reach out and maybe you can share some wisdom. which I did
Absolutely.
because I do.
And you did. And I think too, and if I'm transparent, it's like after I worked with you and spent some time with you, I ended up meeting a publicist,
Mm,
and she was a publicist for Portia Williams.
mm,
And I saw her at a restaurant, and we started talking. And we both got the gift of gab, great, good talk with everybody. And I was talking to her, and I told her what I did. I told her I was a life coach, and she said, that's big right now in the media space because they want those type of healers, on TV, whether it's life coaches, shamans, all type of stuff. So she gave me her information. So then she challenged me, and she said, "What's your goal?" I said, I said, I want to start trying to be on CNN. I said, but my big goal, I want to be on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. I want her to see me as a uh, thought leader.
mhm,
She said, that's a good goal, but don't limit yourself. I
mm,
said, what you mean? She said, why can't you be the new version
mm.
of
Yeah,
Oprah Super Soul Sunday? Why can't you have the thought leaders that you recognize as thought leaders
mhm,
come talk to you?
mhm.
And it didn't hit me like it was like, okay, I never thought about it like that. But it took me, I'm honest, to me maybe 2 years. I went through the pandemic,
Mhm.
and then I sat still, and then that's when God spoke to me. He said, okay, stop searching
Mm,
to be on their TV. You
mm.
create your own TV, and then you seek out the people that you see as thought leaders
There it is.
that you want to talk to and pick their brain for and let them be an inspiration to the people you want to inspire.
There it
And
is.
I'm like, okay,
That's it.
and that's it. And so then that's the I know I see you just pop back on social media and I hit you instantly. I was like, uh, we need to talk. And I said, I'm doing a podcast, and you like, whenever you ready, I'm ready. And I
Yeah.
said, okay. So I sat still and I just asked him to guide me
Mm,
on who do I need to talk to and the why.
mm.
And of course, you was the first one that
Man.
came up. And so, and I think it comes to the point where you were saying that start early, work late, and you gotta be flexible
Yeah. Gotta be. Yeah.
because because where the blessings come, you gotta be flexible to come.
Yeah.
You're you're busy, I'm busy.
Yeah.
We just gotta figure out how we gonna make this happen.
Yeah. That's
You
it.
know, I got somebody else I want to talk to, but he's on the Pacific time.
Mhm,
So I gotta stay up to midnight
mhm,
to do
mhm.
the show for him, which is 9 o'clock his time.
Right.
I, but if it's something I really want to do, and this is what I'm feeling obedient to do,
Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
gotta do it. I
Gotta
gotta
do it.
do it.
Gotta do it. And the rewards come. And we
The
don't know what
rewards
that
come.
looks like at the time, but just know
Right.
that it will come. Like they will come. You stay at it and don't stop, they'll come. And you'll feel that. And I truly believe that, you're doing the right
I do.
stuff. It happens.
I do too. It's like, and then it's like, and then when I hear you talk, as you talking, I said, okay, now I see why he chose you first.
Mm.
Because you have spoken so many different gems that I hope the listeners resonate with because it not just resonate with them, but apply it to their life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Because we're 50, so it's not like we started. We're young.
right.
We put the work in, but we both are transitioning to something new and better.
That's it.
And you know, we have to trust in him that he's going to show us the way as long as we are obedient to him.
That's it, brother. That's it. And it's accumulation of experiences. Because that's all life is the
Right.
experience. We're going through experiences so we know how to navigate those experiences a little bit better as we get to them again. It's a cycle as we go through the cycle of life, but we want to be better when we get back around that time again. And so,
Right.
I've gone through those periods, man. And I talked about something even when I came back on social media a little bit, is that I noticed one of the things, like even for me, like it was hard going through financial challenges because I was the money man. I was known
Mhm.
on TV as the money man. And so
Right.
now as I'm going through life and life is happening, you feel some sort of way, because again, you are the one that helped everybody else their
Mhm.
finances, and now you're having financial challenges. I had to be real and say this is a part of life. But it's hard because you'll get discouraged. You'll hear these voices that say, you failed, or you can't do it,
Mhm.
or you're never gonna get it right, or that's wrong. And I tell people, it's two voices that you hear. One is the butcher and one is the shepherd. The butcher is always gonna lead you to slaughter. The shepherd is always gonna lead you to prosperity and success. It has a goal for you, a plan for you. And you get to recognize which voice is talking to you at which time.
Mhm.
Like, we know that voice that's negative. That's the butcher. You get that out of
Right.
your life. It's the shepherd. And so I had to start realizing that other people need to hear what I had gone through. Other people needed to
Mhm.
hear that experience, and it makes it real. And
Yeah.
nobody's immune, and we've heard the stories of people being successful and then filing bankruptcy, or, again, it's the ebb and flow of life. But when we learn how to ride those waves of life, it makes us better and know that there are going to be waves and we can't change the direction of the ocean. So at some point, you just got to ride it out. And it can be tough to
Mhm.
ride it out, but if you ride it out, you'll get to see the other side.
Because when I read it, when you made that post, and I read it, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I already had respect for you,
Mm.
but I had a greater and deeper respect for you because the transparency. I think you didn't, at the time you probably didn't realize how many people probably going to be affected by it.
Mm-mm.
But I understood.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understood because in 2017, you know, um, I got bit by a brown recluse.
Mm.
So I was in the hospital for 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So when I got out the hospital, I had to start over from scratch.
Hmm.
So I understand.
Yeah. That's real.
And I understand, the embarrassment sometimes because you're the coach,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, it's life. Life be life, and I couldn't control being bit by a spider.
Right.
I couldn't control being bit, in the hospital for 30 days. But what it did do was, and I'm always gonna be grateful for it, was it gave me a chance to be alone by
Mm.
myself for 30 days with God.
Hmm.
And in that 30 days, he showed me what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
Because
Oh,
at the end of the day, even though I thought I was being obedient to him, I was being disobedient to him.
it's a lot of you coming
Yeah, because I allowed my ego to take control of the situation.
through. Hmm.
I had, I was a big time person in the fitness game. I
Hmm.
got all these women looking at me, and I'm getting all this attention,
Hmm.
but I'm also seeing people lose weight and all type of stuff, and my ego took control.
Mm. Which it does often.
And he was trying to get me more into the life side
Right.
because that's where he feel my gift is the greatest at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I couldn't see
Yeah.
the blessing as right as like I do in front of the
Yeah.
fitness. So since I refused, he sat me down.
So he will, as he will do.
And he sat me down and I had no choice. And then that's where I started coming through the other stuff. And it's like, so, and at that time in my 40s.
Hmm.
And now you're starting all over again.
Right.
And so, but now on this time coming around, I'm doing better. You
Hmm.
know, I'm doing better. And for me now, I noticed this that just that I'm still escalating, like how
Hmm.
you said,
Hmm.
and I think doing this is going to help me take it to another level because this was being completely obedient to him.
Yeah. Now, like tests, you pass these tests, you
I'm
move up,
passing these tests.
you elevate.
So I've been telling you to be more on social media. You refuse to.
Mm.
I need you to be more on social media so people can see who you are,
Yeah. Yeah.
see what you're doing,
Yeah. That's
and
it.
see how you how you being a light to other people or showcasing the light of other people to the world,
Yeah,
so then I can get you blessings other kind of ways.
there it is. There it
And
is.
so I now that I'm being completely obedient, now I can see the blessings coming.
That's it. And that's how it works, man. That's how it works. Seems simple, but it takes so much, and it's practice because it
It's
don't happen
practice.
overnight. You got to practice. Repetition in that discipline is valuable.
So are you still doing like motivational speaking and coaching still too? Or this new job is so busy for you that it slows you down?
It has slowed me down a little bit. I do when I can. It's almost like ministry work. You know, it's in
Mhm.
me, so I need to do it every now and then. It's a blessing though that my job also allows me to do that a little bit. I
Okay.
was given an opportunity where I'm almost like an entrepreneur within my organization, man. I run my own
Okay.
stuff. I do a lot of traveling, but I'm also building some great relationships, and again, I've learned and been able to master that. And so my job is to make sure I'm with the people that I need to be with, and I'm talking to them, whether it be the mayor, whether it be city council, whether it be heads of organizations and CEOs. I know how to build those relationships. I know how to get in those doors. And so
Mhm.
I do a lot of speaking from that standpoint. But once I get, in this groove, it's still sort of new.
Mhm.
It's going to be there. I get the request. And so those are still there to come and speak, and I'm just not pursuing them as much. I'm playing more of the background. I still do some ghost writing for people. I do some speech writing, and so I still get that exercise those muscles, and I still get a chance to speak for what I do. So I feel as long as I'm exercising that muscle, it's gonna keep building, and so it's gonna be ready when it's time to pull it out that backpack. It's there.
Because you just answered my next question because I was going to ask you, do you still have your publishing company
Yeah.
and do you still do ghostwriting?
Yeah, so I don't take on new. Well, let me say that I don't take on new, but I've got existing
Mhm.
clients that have been rocking with me for a minute. So I write a lot of things for them,
Okay.
not just books, but speeches and posts and all types of things from that standpoint. But we do help publish people still. I don't do the writing as much, but we still help them as far as it's passion for me to show somebody you're the expert in your lane. This is how you leverage that. This is the channel that you can use to get you where you want to be. So if I know something again, I want to share it. I've been able to share that still with a lot of people. And so if I'm gonna do what I can to help make sure people can navigate that space, because I truly believe the book changed my life. I had the foresight to see it, didn't know what it was. We started at a time before the internet, so I had to read this big old book to do it. But we
Mhm.
did that, and it's worked, man. And we've been able to help a lot of people because of it. And so it's a blessing. So I still do that as we can. My wife pretty much runs the publishing side, but we still got it.
Okay. We'll talk after that because the two I have done has always been co-authors. I always did it with other people.
Okay,
So now I'm ready to do mine by myself.
nice.
I think that's going to be the thing that's going to help me take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah,
But I want, I want to align myself with somebody who understands me
yeah,
and know what I'm trying to, who understand my vision. Because I see on social media all the time, people will say they will help you write your book and
right,
all type of stuff. But a
mhm,
lot of times I don't know if they really know me or understand
right,
me,
right,
can they really help me?
right. That definitely
So
helps. Definitely
yeah,
helps.
so
Yeah, definitely. Would
so
definitely.
before I let you go, can you give us some parting words of thought
Mhm.
as we go into our new week?
Yeah, definitely, man. I want you or people listening, remember that life's phases, and don't be discouraged by one phase and think that everything's over. Don't count yourself out. Count yourself encouraged, and know that the things that you went through yesterday are going to help you tomorrow. I tell people all the time that yesterday's a canceled check, tomorrow's a promissory note, and today's the only cash we have. So we got to spend it wisely. And what that means is take advantage of where you are today in that present moment. Don't look back, but use today to get you to where you want to be and know that you can. And if you don't believe it, then nobody else is going to believe it. So you got to believe it. Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest of all time. And eventually we believed it. It wasn't because he didn't say it, was because he did say it. He told us who he was. So start telling people who you are and walk into that new day and realize that you got the power to change your life and to be who you are and who you desire to be and do whatever you want to do.
That's it, right? That's a great way to end it. Thank you, my friend, for being on my show.
Pleasure.
Continue to all the great success that you're doing. Those who like this show and you want to see more like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, we say peace.